شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون.
The month of Ramadan is that in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for the people and clear proofs of guidance and criterion. So whoever cites the new moon of the month, let him fast it, and whoever is ill or on a journey, then an equal number of other days. Allah intends for you ease and does not intend for you hardship and wants for you to complete the period and to glorify Allah for that to which He has guided you, and perhaps you will be grateful.
Assalamu alaikum guys, thank you for coming back. Today we're going to be talking a bit about how to prepare for Ramadan since Ramadan is approaching us, and this is a great time for us to be preparing for it because in the month of Sha'ban you kind of just set the goals and habits that you want to, move forward with during Ramadan.
I think it's a perfect time to prepare our mindsets for what we're going into. And of course Ramadan is a period of just cleansing yourself and purifying yourself, right? And setting out the goals for the rest of the year. So I think it's a perfect time to prepare for that. During Ramadan, we're obviously going to try to be posting and putting out more episodes. We're going to try to post every week, even though regularly we will be posting bi-weekly. But this is obviously a special time. This is what our main goal is. So we're going to be posting weekly, inshallah.
And it just reminds us that Ramadan is literally 4 weeks. That means you have 4 Fridays, you have 4 sets of weekends. It's literally not that much time. So we want to obviously achieve our goals as well as just, this is a great reminder that all the goals that we want to achieve together as a Muslim ummah, Ramadan is really not that long if you think about it.
I know, it goes by so quick every single year.
The first few days you're what the hell, am I going to be doing this for the next month?
I know, and then as soon as it's over you're no way it passed by that quick.
Yeah, you're we just started.
It's actually crazy. That's why I feel we need to use every moment to get as many benefits of it as we can.
Exactly,
right?
It's literally every waking moment.
I know, it's almost it's a New Year's resolution, right? Because you can just once you set these goals and these habits during these 30 so days, right, then it's an easier start into the rest of the year and it's easier to upkeep them,
Exactly, because Ramadan is 30 days, right? And I know there's some science behind if you create a habit within those 30 days it kind of sticks. So let's say you start to do something within these 30 days, you start waking up for Fajr, and every day for the 30 days you're struggling, but you're waking up for Fajr because in your head you're I don't have much time for Ramadan. I just want to kind of, at least the least that I could do is wake up for Fajr. By the time the 30 days are up, your body is already going to be regulated to you waking up around that time to pray. Meaning the rest of the year from Ramadan this year starting mid-March. The rest of the year starting April all the way back to March, your body is going to be regulated to wake up at that time. It's just on you to keep those habits going after Ramadan ends too, because Ramadan is just where you set your foot in the soil.
And it makes it so much easier to stick to these goals because you know that everyone in the Muslim community around you is working either just as hard or harder, everyone varies, but you know that everyone is working towards similar goals and everyone kind of has that everyone's just motivated.
Yeah.
It also makes it so much easier.
Religious awareness, exactly. Everybody's just thinking about Islam.
I feel everyone reminds each other.
Yeah.
When someone says something, even as a joke, people yo, it's Ramadan, relax. So I feel it's just there and it's always on your mind and it makes it so much easier, especially with shaitan being locked up and all that. It makes it so much more rewarding when everyone else is doing it too.
Even I feel the people that on a daily you might not even look at them and think, oh, they could be Muslim, because obviously you're a Muslim internally, but you are a Muslim externally too. So even if you don't wear hijab or you don't pray or whatever it is, during Ramadan, you you know who is Muslim. Like, you can tell just something about people's auras, the way people are fasting. Even if you're not religious, I know a lot of people that are not religious and they still fast Ramadan, which is great. So it's just a great time for everybody to be aware of their surroundings, aware of everybody who's like in the spiritual grind.
I think one thing that really helps with setting goals is time management. That's such a big one, right? And that can be just like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm gonna read this many juz, right? Or like this many pages of the Quran. This time to this time, I'm gonna do this, right? And it's also even more like, I feel like with Ramadan being pushed into our school year and our work schedule more, right? Time management is that much more important.
That's true. Like, I was thinking about this, how if you read 5 pages after every salah, at the end of the month, you pretty much like khatm al-Quran. So I was thinking, I was like, but I have classes sometimes within Dhuhr time and Asr time. That means like Dhuhr and Asr, when I go to pray them, I'm not going to have enough time to sit and read. But then I'm thinking about my commute and I'm like, okay, for myself, I could read ahead. Let's say I do 10 pages on the bus ride there. And then Dhuhr and Asr, I don't have to read any pages. When I get home, I could do Maghrib pages.
And it's even like the time that we use on social media, right? I think social media consumes such a big chunk of our time, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you just take away that, because let's say you're like, it takes you 2-3 minutes to read a page, right? Multiply that by 5, it'll take you 10-15 minutes max after each salat to like either after or before, right? It'll take you like a little bit of time out of your day to read that. So even if you just take like an hour out of your social media time, dedicate that towards reading like 5 pages, right? Or even if they accumulate, you can read a few more, right? It makes it that much easier. And cutting out social media, I feel like it also helps with destimulating you from like everything else, right? And just puts your entire focus upon like attaining taqwa.
That's very true. Like, social media, especially things like TikTok and whatever, you could sit there. Why is it that we can sit there and scroll for hours and hours and hours and not feel the time?
Realize. And the thing is, like, you won't even remember most of what you're seeing.
Exactly.
Right? But when you use that time, right, to like instill the values of Islam and like instill that time to remember Allah, such as like doing dhikr, listening to Quran, astaghfar, like tasbih, like all that stuff, right? It's so much more rewarding and it has more benefits than being on social media.
Yeah, and even like, with cutting out TikTok or cutting out Instagram or music or whatever it is, things like, like obviously destimulating yourself, things like Quran become so much more beautiful. You start to enjoy prayer more. You have more time on your hands. Like, every little thing that you do, including dhikr or reading dua or like whatever it is, it becomes more beautiful to you because you're not constantly looking for the next video to watch. You're not constantly
you're not constantly consuming this media.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Because it's so easy for us to be entertained. Like, you literally open your phone. Let's say you're like at a doctor's appointment. You have time to kill.
Like it's like it just numbs you, right?
Yeah.
So when you're like doing all these things to be aware of Allah and Islam, right, especially during Ramadan, it literally calms you down so much more. And I think like this may seem like unrealistic, but this is such a realistic goal. And I think that's all that Ramadan is about. It's about making realistic goals that help you balance Islam and your life, right? And that's what it's all about, right? It's all about making realistic goals and sticking to them and adhering to them, right? So like, yeah, of course you need to push yourself during Ramadan, but it's also about like knowing what you can and can't do.
Exactly. Like, we can go genuinely a day without scrolling on TikTok. That's something that's in all of our capacities. We can go through a car ride without having to play music. That's something in all of our capacities. But when it comes to Ramadan, you're like, okay, you have that mindfulness. You're like, I should not be doing this right now because I should rather like listen to a podcast or
listening to a podcast. Wink,
I know a couple in mind that might help you with your iman.
I don't know.
But yeah, things like that. Also, it helps with sabr so much. It helps with patience. Like I was saying earlier about like sitting in a doctor's office waiting to be whatever checked and whatever. You're like automatically instinct. Let me pull out my phone and just be entertained for a little. When in that time you could sit and just have that, have patience, do dhikr, remember Allah, say astaghfar. Like, how long will it take you to just say astaghfirullah? And who knows how many bad deeds you're like wiping out just by saying that,
And slowly like easing into that mindset before Ramadan even starts helps you so much more because you don't have to like deep dive into everything all at once, right? So it's like, let me just like on my way to work today, let me not listen to music, right? Let me like put on a podcast or something, you know?
Maybe one specifically about like Shifa'a, like I don't know.
Then it's like, oh, okay, that kind of helps, right?
Yeah.
And then also makes your time just so much more beneficial, right? And another thing I feel like that happens during Ramadan is feeling burnt out, right? Because you're like, oh my God, like I'm not doing enough, right? Like I didn't read enough Quran. Maybe I missed a prayer, right? Maybe I just felt like I didn't have a very like productive day, right? And so I feel like we also get so tough on ourselves, and that's something that's so difficult to avoid, but it's really all about mindset, right? And I feel like social media does not help with that, because there's so much. Every time I see a post on social media about Ramadan or something, some of them are so unrealistic, telling you that you can only sleep like 3-4 hours a night when you know you have a whole day of school, work, worship, all of that while helping out at home, right? It becomes unrealistic.
And also, I feel like during Ramadan, obviously this is like, you can have like burnout from your iman because you're just constantly on it and whatever. There's obviously going to be days where you feel like you have that low deen or low iman, but also just physical burnout because you're pouring so much of your time into worship, which is what we're made to do. But like, let's say, for example, sleep, or let's say you stay up for Taraweeh one night and the next day you have school, so you're tired from school, you know, you're not really putting your effort in school and whatever, you're burnt out from other aspects of your life, and that could definitely slow you down and make you feel unmotivated to even do anything at all. And then we all know, like, in Muslim households, especially the daughters, you have a lot to do at home as well. Like, you're not just school, work.
Because you have to take care of everyone else and everything else, because life doesn't stop.
It literally doesn't. There's always something to do.
Exactly. During Ramadan, like, there's your regular life, and then you have to add on to that because you're trying to do so much more. Yeah. Right? That's where having low deen, like, you'll be like, yo, like, I'm so unmotivated right now. Like, maybe, like, let me just not pray Isha, right? Like, let me just go to bed. Yeah. Right? But then it's all about, like, holding yourself accountable. Right? It's like, okay, like, how long is it really going to take me to pray Isha, right? Yeah. Like, let me go make wudu. It'll take me, like, what, a minute and a half maximum, maybe 2 minutes, right? It'll take you another 5 to pray, maybe, like, another 10 to read some Quran, you know, do some istighfar, do some tasbih. It's not, if we make it seem like such a bigger burden than it is, when it really isn't, right? That's just how we've trained ourselves.
Exactly. And I was literally going to say how, like, you know, us as humans, we're made to be like, to have busy lives and to have a lot going on. But for some reason, especially us in the West, we choose to compromise on our deen than anything else. Like, we could be chasing our careers and school and whatever. And then when it comes to deen, you're like, I don't really have time, or I feel burnt out and whatever.
But the reality is that nothing happens without that deen.
Exactly. And the one thing that you should not compromise, I feel like we compromise it because we don't hold ourselves accountable. There's no immediate, you know, repercussions for you not praying Isha, or there's no immediate repercussions for you, you know, committing a sin or whatever. You're just like, oh, I'll make it up later, I have time later. But for things that you have deadlines for, you're like, let me do this now. And that also ties in with, like, people who say, I can't fast this Ramadan because, like, school, I can't fast because I'm in uni, I can't fast because blah, blah, blah.
There's even, like, that mindset that, oh, but I've sinned so much. Yeah. What is it going to help if I repent? Right? But the reality is that every single person is going to sin. None of us are perfect. We're humans. Allah has made us to be flawed, right? Allah knows who we are. Allah knows our nature better than we even know ourselves, right? But the reality is that everybody sins, but the best of sinners are those who repent, right? That's all that Ramadan is. Ramadan is literally just repenting, getting forgiveness, building taqwa, building habits, right? That's all it is. We have to understand that Allah's love is so divine, right? Like, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, right? Most forgiving, right? That's all. He will forgive you no matter what. It's all about sincerity.
Yeah. Even, like, when we're talking about, like, sinning and repenting and whatever, there are sins that I'm sure none of us remember we did. There's sins that we've done so long ago that is just wiped from the back of our heads. So for you to think, oh, let me not make istighfar, like, what is that going to do? You never know what you've missed out on, you know? Like, you can say istighfar, and a sin that you've made years and years and years ago that was on, you know, your record, could be wiped out. You never know. It literally takes you a second to just say astaghfirullah, 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 wherever you are, whatever you do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would love to forgive all of us. Like, I know there's this hadith that everybody knows. It's like, if we didn't sin, Allah would have wiped us out and replaced us with like a community of people that did sin but would repent to him, because that's our purpose on earth, is to worship. And what is their worship to if you're not sinning?
I feel like one thing that really holds us accountable in terms of our worship is like involving each other, right? It's like, I know that if I'll go to Tarawih, if it's like, yo, come to Tarawih, you know? Like, I know I'll go because she's there, but at the same time, I know that I'll go and like actually pray, right? Because I'm not going to the masjid and just like sit there, right? So it's like surrounding yourself with the right people during Ramadan is so crucial.
That's why you need to take a look at your surroundings. You take a look at your friend groups, because if they're not going to be there to motivate you during Ramadan or compete with, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to compete in our religion. Like, for us to be like, oh, like, let's see how many pages we can do today. Or let's see how many rak'ahs we can do for Tarawih. Like, that's something that you on your own, you could obviously just try to challenge yourself, but without a competition, without friends doing it with you, or the qiyam even like
just, like,
qiyam is so much more fun when you're with your friends.
It's so fun, especially when you like stay up all night long. Yeah. You wake up in the morning, you have like this like raspy voice. It's so funny.
No, but yeah, in terms of like involvement in the community, it holds everybody accountable to one another, you know, like.
And I feel like making friends during the community is so much easier during Ramadan because everyone's out of their house, right? Yeah. Everyone is drawn to the masjid so much more, right? And you can meet all sorts of people in there.
And it genuinely feels like a home.
It does.
Like, it literally I feel like I could sit in the masjid for hours and nobody would tell me to get up, obviously. Nobody would tell me to go home. Like, it's a public space.
I've met so many nice people at the masjid who have taught me so much. Like, every day, like, you talk to someone, in casual conversation, you will learn, like, some Islamic ruling that you had no idea about.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I really love about it, right? Even if it's, like, I just love sharing knowledge with all these different girls in the masjid. That's truly one thing that I look forward to so much every time I go.
Because that's what makes Ramadan so special, is not only the religious aspect, but just indulging in the culture of Ramadan as well. Like, you know, doing iftars at each other's houses, or staying up for suhoor, or all these little things that we include in our culture of Ramadan makes it just as special as like the religious aspect of it too, like all the forgiveness and all the blessings that we get during Ramadan. But also just like, you know, seeing your friends and we're all dressed up in abayas, and you know, like everybody's just on their best behavior. Everybody just loves being together as a community. It like makes it so much better.
Going to Tarawih, you know, doing suhoor picnics.
Like, since when did Muslim girls go to, like, we're allowed outside past Maghrib anyways, right? But for us to be driving around at like 12 o'clock,
use this as your opportunity, girls.
Take all the snaps you want. Like, you guys are out late, you know, you're with your friends until like 12 in the morning, 1 in the morning. Like, that's crazy. That's so fun.
So easy to brush it off. Yeah. Like, yo, I was at the masjid. Like,
yeah,
friends can yell at you at that point.
Like, you're literally at the masjid and you're having fun too. Like, it's so important for you to have fun during Ramadan, because that's what makes us look forward to it. Like, why are we so excited for Ramadan? You're starving yourself, you're burning yourself out, you're adding a million things to your plate. You know, girls that are wearing hijab, you want to perfect your hijab. Girls that don't wear the hijab, they want to improve their modesty. Guys as well, guys need to be modest, they need to know how to act, to dress, whatever. It's so many things on your plate. Why would we be so excited for it? But for some reason, us as Muslims, we know the blessings of Ramadan. We know how fun and exciting it is to come together as a community, because there's nothing like the Muslim community.
Ramadan is such a good opportunity to learn without being embarrassed, right? Because everyone just wants to share knowledge, right? Everyone's like in a better mood, you know, everyone's just like in the groove, right? So you're like, you can go ask a question, right? You have a question about, oh, like during Ramadan, am I supposed to be doing this? During Ramadan, like, is it okay if I do this, right? Like, different rulings and questions you have. It's a perfect opportunity to ask questions.
Because everybody knows that, like, this is the month where we're working on
we're improving ourselves. Yeah.
So it's not like a dumb question coming out of nowhere. It's literally just like, okay, this person wants to know, which get all the questions out there. Ask them all when you have the chance.
I feel like some realistic goals to start off with are like cutting out music, replacing it with podcasts. Put in that, like, just slip that one in there.
Please.
Praying on time. I feel like one thing is just like, even if you have like an adhan app or like a prayer app on your phone, right? Like putting that notification on there, right? So I feel like we pay so much attention to our phones all the time, right? It's like embed that in there. Every time you see it, it's like, oh, yo, I gotta go pray Dhuhr, I gotta go pray Asr, right? It just keeps it on there, right? And an extra step, just going like forward on that, is just praying the sunnahs that come with those prayers.
It literally will take you
because you're already standing. You're already there. You have wudu, right?
You might as well
take the extra 4 or 5 minutes, pray the sunnahs, right?
I was gonna say khushu'. Khushu' is so important, or like mindfulness in salah, like just literally pronouncing every word as best as you can, or like when you're thinking about a word, I know everybody's not like fluent in Arabic, but when you're thinking about the word like subhanallah, 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 or like, when we go down in ruku' or sujud, the words that we say, think about the meaning of them, because that like genuinely makes salah so much better.
Even just learning the translation of Surah Al-Fatiha, oh my goodness, that surah is so beautiful. And the fact that we repeat it in every single rak'ah is so important, because the beauty of that surah can't even be explained.
And it's a dua. Like when you're in the masjid and everybody says Ameen.
That like, is like, it shakes me.
Literally shivers down my spine.
Every single time.
Shivers down my spine. It's the same surah, but every time you hear it, it like, for some reason, it just shakes. It
literally makes me shed a tear every single time.
Every time I hear like everybody in the crowd just saying Ameen, it's so beautiful. It's literally so beautiful.
Another thing that like you can do during Ramadan is like donating, like let's say you go to the masjid, let's say you go even like maybe like 10 days out of the month, right? You make a goal to go to the masjid, right? Just donating $1, right? Because who knows, that dollar could be helped to improve the masjid or provide more facilities, right? Or even to help, even if it's not going directly to the masjid, it's going to someone in need, right? In the end, you don't know if that could be sadaqah jariyah, right? It just keeps giving, right? The money you give with good intention, it grows even more.
And there's so much more to donating than just the money itself. It literally improves your character overall. Like you being a person who makes money.
It opens up your heart.
Yeah. It's like you don't become the stingy person that's chasing dollars, like, everybody knows the value of money and how hard it is to make money nowadays. So for you to give that away so easily for something that Allah says, it's going to help somebody else, it makes you a better person yourself. Your character in it of itself is better.
And the way that the angels write down like every single word you say, right, or action you do, I feel like one thing that's so important is just watching what we say, right? How are we speaking to the people around us, right? Like I know, like if my mom's telling me to get up and do something, I'm not gonna, especially during Ramadan, like never, not even outside of Ramadan, right? But especially during Ramadan, I'm not even gonna say like, oh mama, come on, like it's like I'm gonna get up and do it. I'm not gonna, especially when I'm with my friends, like not swearing, right? Watching what I'm saying, right? Just using many like kinder words, right? Overall, it honestly helps you improve your akhlaq too.
Exactly. Like we should not use profanity in the first place, and I feel like it's so normalized in our communities because it's just like, oh, this is what the youth say. Guys, we don't need to speak that way. You could get your point across without having to swear or without saying something that could hurt somebody. And during Ramadan, that's like the perfect time to watch your tongue, because your tongue causes you to sin a lot.
Like a personal goal I really have for myself is dressing more modestly, right? I feel like, yes, like there is a line to it where I'm considered modest compared to like what a regular person wear, like regular quote unquote air quotes, right? But one thing is just like covering my neck, wearing baggier clothes, right? Like improving my character, stuff like that, right? It's just like that all comes in with modesty, and that's one thing that I really want to work on, that I feel like everyone kind of wants to work towards, and I feel like it's really good if we all have a community there to support one another and encourage each other.
Especially as like hijabis or girls in general, we could always do more. We could always take the next step in our modesty. Like it's so hard and it's difficult and it's a challenge every day you wake up.
Especially living here, like this is one thing that like was our main focus. It was the way we present ourselves, right? We're considered boring, right? Because she doesn't go out with a full face of makeup on, she doesn't show off her body, right? She doesn't show off her hair, she doesn't wear like flashy jewelry and stuff, right? It's like you're considered boring, right? And it makes you feel bad about yourself, but at the end of the day, when you're doing it for Allah, right? It makes it that much more rewarding.
That's true. But even with you being modest does not mean that you can't dress it up. Like, obviously you don't need to wear something tighter. You don't need to cake your face up. But like, for you to, have a proper ironed outfit, clean, smells good.
Wearing some nice colors.
That also tells a lot about Islam as well. Because again, if you're walking out and you know that you represent Islam by the way that you look, you should try to represent it in the best way possible. Be put together, be clean, be nice, like, wear deodorant, guys. Please.
I'm so glad. Especially with Ramadan being in the summer.
Exactly. Guys, listen, during suhoor, like, take those little mints, because during Ramadan, people don't brush their teeth. Like,
that's why I'm so glad we were wearing masks. Because I knew no one had to smell my breath. No one had
to smell it.
If I'm talking to you, you don't have to worry about my hot breath being right in your face.
Please, just take care of yourself, because you tell so much about
I think we should bring social distancing back, especially during Ramadan.
Just during Ramadan.
Please.
Or like when Ramadan is in the heat of summer, like, when it was back in like the heat of summer, and people are just like tired. We don't have water in our systems. The sweat, the like breath.
Not even water?
Literally not even water. That's what you should ask white people when they just like get up from the toilet. Like, not even water.
You're so bad. Not even water.
Not even water.
Okay. That's why there's a toilet paper shortage. I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, we were good.
Okay, but anyways.
We've already like spoke about this, but like spending less time on like socials, and even if you have to, guys, delete them from your phone. Like, throw the remote. Like, do whatever you have to do, because then what are you going to turn to? Like, think of it like you're in a deserted island with nothing to do. You're going to obviously find ways to entertain yourself. So with the things that we have, like if we have Islamic books or whatever, the way you're going to entertain yourself is by getting closer to your deen. And that obviously is a win-win for you, because you're getting closer to your deen.
And even like spending less time on Netflix, TikTok, social media, all that stuff, right? Like, it doesn't numb you from the world, right? It's just like, because I feel like we use those things as distractions from what we're actually dealing with in the real world.
Obviously.
Right? So when we just deal with it, face it, right? And then turn to Allah. That's what Allah wants. Allah wants for us to turn to Him, right?
And rather than these things. Like, we were talking about how, like, during our day, you feel like there's no time. Literally cut out social media from your day and see how much time you have on your hands. It's just because we fill it up with the wrong things. Like, we're always filling it up with like Instagram, YouTube. Even before I sleep, like, I'm always watching Netflix before I sleep. Like, I just think that that's how that's how my unwinding begins.
Even like just replacing that Netflix time, like, oh, you're watching one episode, okay, well, an episode is what, 45 minutes to an hour, right?
Yeah.
Replacing that with like reading a book, reading Quran, like a book about Islam specifically, right? Just replacing with things like that, and then you'll notice the difference.
Yeah. And it's like, you actually enjoy it. Like, pick up the seerah. It's literally stories. If you like reading books, read the seerah. It's literally stories about the Prophet and the Sunnah and whatever. You're gonna enjoy it just as much, and you're getting rewards, and you're gaining knowledge. Like, it's literally all in your benefit.
Even when like reading those 5 pages of Quran, if you want to go a step further, right, and just like know what you're reading, read the translation. It is so powerful, and you learn so much.
Yeah, and it feels like it's talking to you directly when you're reading the translation, because I know a lot of us are like fluent in English. That's the language that like we understand really, really well. So,
and it really like, it puts into perspective the adversities that the prophets before us had to deal with.
Yeah.
Right? And we look at our own lives and we're like, oh, well, like, ours aren't that bad.
Even like with the ayah that we talked about in the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally says in the translation, and Allah does not intend for hardship. He doesn't want you to go through hardship. He wants it to be ease, and maybe it will lead to gratefulness. When you read that in the translation, you understand the depth of it and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally just wants what's best for you, and that connects to divine love. Yeah, in general, Ramadan is just all about self-discipline, holding yourself accountable, like time management. With every Ramadan, inshallah, we have many, many more Ramadans to come. But like with every Ramadan, you just keep strengthening yourself. You become better. Your goals become more achievable.
We are looking forward to creating and setting all these new goals and implementing them in our lives with you guys, inshallah, for the next four weeks, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
4 weeks. Inshallah, we will be posting every week for the month of Ramadan. If you guys have any suggestions, please like, subscribe, and comment your suggestions down below.
Or follow us on our Instagram, because we are pretty active on there and we show some behind the scenes of us recording all this. So follow it at Shifaapodcast. That's SHIFAA podcast.
Her.
And yeah, her. Assalamualaikum, guys.
Waalaikumsalam.